Oh. There are infinite ways to communicate a message. You can communicate verbally or non-verbally, speaking clearly or in code. Here at the Arroyo channel, we use the medium of video to communicate messages. A picture's worth 1,000 words, but sometimes some people just want to hear you say the words. Television is just one medium to express your message, but sometimes the message is the medium. Let's explore that some more after the intro. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. These are some common phrases connected to linguistics and mathematics, but when you add audio and video recording to the mix, you can create an artistic expression that is both informative and stimulating to a specific segment of the population. My next guest has a show designed for that segment, but before we talk about his show, let's learn a little bit more about him. Hello, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Introduce yourself.
My name is Adam. Keep going.
Good answer. Okay. So tell me who you are, where you're from. Let's take everything from birth to now in about 30 seconds. So
Got it. Okay, yeah, native of Los Angeles, West LA specifically. I've been doing public access TV since I was about 15 years old. Wow. I'm 31 now, so that's over half my life spent in studios much like this one. I'm also a professional tour guide. I do the regular, Stars Homes, Venice Beach, Hollywood Sign, things like that. Wow. And also some niche tours like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills tour and the O.J. Simpson tour.
Wow, the O.J. Simpson tour. That one sounds interesting.
It's great, yeah.
I might have to take you up on that one.
Yeah.
And from your first days in Access, like what was the path getting to there? Like what prompted that?
I was watching public access. So Francine Dancer was the first show I remember seeing and really liking. She's like legendary in the LA Access, I'm sure you know who she is. And then I saw Let's Paint TV, another one of these legendary shows. And at the end of the show, John Kilduff was like, hey, if you want to be a guest on the show, this is my phone number, give me a call. So we called him, and it was over spring break actually. I was off from school, so I could go on a weekday. I was like 14, 15, probably 14 at this point. It was like around 9th grade. And then he, at the end of the show, was like, well, if you want to have a show, you can just do it. And then I was like, oh yeah, huh? And then, and since I was under 18, my stepmother had to be the sign off on the classes and stuff. Back then, it was when it was Adelphia. So it was just a 2-hour studio class and 2-hour orientation. I've been to so many of those orientations over my life.
I can only imagine.
Wow.
Where was the studio in Adelphia? Because they had a few of them.
It was on Nebraska in West LA. Okay. That was the one, and then there was the Eagle Rock one I had been to too. And then once I started meeting more public access people and doing more people's shows, there was a Comcast one in Hollywood. That got most of the weird shows, but those didn't air on because it was only the little region where the studio operated. So we would only get shows from Santa Monica and Eagle Rock, which was actually Glassell Park, but they called it Eagle Rock, and then whatever would get bicycled in.
So Access is no stranger to you. I don't have to explain to you. You certainly don't have to explain it to me. I think we might have similar paths, maybe a little bit different as far as our experience with Access. We've known it pretty much all our adult lives.
I call it the cable access connection.
Okay.
It's because I meet public access people all the time. Some of the people I've met doing public access are some of my best friends. I've worked with them for years and years and years. It's just this understanding of hey, I also want to just do a TV show. Yeah. Can you help me out?
Without all the drama and the nonsense and the headaches and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but it's just this mutual.
It's genuine.
Absolutely.
You eliminate the Hollywood effect, as it were.
Totally.
It's still present, but it's genuine Hollywood. Is that a thing?
But it's based on creativity, and it's so diverse too. Any type of person, and not because it has to be, which it does because of the law or whatever. It's just that's just who filters out the weirdest people from every segment of the population.
Yeah, we've got to share those. I want to talk a little bit more about that. I have a feeling there's so much ground to cover, but we got to take a break. So before we get into that, when we come back from the break, I want to talk a little bit about your show specifically, a little bit more about Access, and we'll just keep it moving. So you're watching Arroyo Profiles. We'll be right back in a moment.
Hey, Pasadena media, you rock.
I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Narnese. She started helping me a little bit, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
So we are talking to Adam Papagan. Did I say that right?
Whatever.
Oh, okay. You must get used to people butchering your name, and I'm sure
I
they
don't.
want to apply.
That's how
whatever.
I don't care. That's how
Okay.
used to it I am. It's whatever. It's open to interpretation.
Okay. So you've been in Access for a long time. You've seen probably as much craziness as I have, if not more. Tell me a little bit about what led you up to your show. First, tell me the name of your show.
So the show I'm doing right now is the ASMR talk show. So how that got started was we were at another sort of public access-y in nature, but it was privately owned. It was just on the internet. It was called Dronebox. We were there, and I wanted to just do their thing. They don't give you an hour, start to finish. So there was really, I had to just be a talk show,
Right.
and it was every week. So I was like, well, this is pretty much just going to have to be me talking to someone. So we were doing practice shows, sitting in this room that they had, and it was an old movie theater, and it wasn't a sound stage. So the acoustics in there were terrible. They're really boomy and bouncy.
Right.
Guys who ran it didn't really know what they were doing, and so the guy was like, oh, just talk softer while you're doing your show.
Okay.
Which was, and so I was kind of like a little peeved. I was like, okay, so I'm going to talk really soft. And then somebody else who worked there was like, oh, that's just like ASMR, the little soft voices, and you get the
Right.
tingles in your head. And I knew what that was. I'd heard of it. So I was like, well, okay, there's the angle. Instead of just being me talking to just, somebody, now I'm going to be whispering to someone.
Yeah, that, and I gotta say, it's an interesting show. And if you guys want to know more about ASMR, you can look at ASMR. You can look it up. Tons of stuff on the internet about it. But one of the things about your show is you get some pretty interesting guests in there, and it's just interesting watching you have what are really pretty interesting and somewhat in-depth conversations with people, and you're whispering the entire time that you're having these conversations.
It creates a sort of intimacy where they have to lean in and like listen a little harder, and yeah, it's interesting, but it's everyone, it's sort of a balance of.
And I think it also naturally causes people to slow down and think a little bit more about the stuff they say. So I think that may be part of what gets to the deeper level on this show.
Absolutely.
I could be wrong about that, but that's what I'm going to go with.
And I do the show to like experiment, and like that's why I did the show at Dronebox, was like, because we were there for 3 years, so I did 150 hours there
lot of shows.
on camera, and I just to get my chops up, because I hope to not be on public access someday. I will still come back to public access anytime anybody else wants me, but I just want to to kind of try, all right, I'm going to be a little bit more like Howard Stern. I'm just going to ask the weird questions because they'll give me some. Oh, I need to be nice to this person because they're kind of a sensitive, nice person. And, so it's kind of experiment with it.
That's one of the luxuries of the whole access area is you don't have to worry about, well, maybe you do to a degree, about who it is you're going to offend, but there's a bit of a freedom that comes with that.
Yeah.
And it really is expression kind of at its finest.
Exactly. And, if the guest doesn't like how it turned out, it's like, well, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah.
Like, you came to the studio, I didn't help make you do this against your will.
Right.
It's kind of on you if you look bad from this. So maybe you learned a lesson too. But I try to make the guests look good.
That's a pretty smooth outlook on it.
Yeah.
So how many have you done so far? You've been doing it here for...
So since the second season of last year, so last July, we usually get it about once a month. We've probably done 12 of them here.
Okay. How's it been for you so far?
It's totally different. It was great to have a reason to streamline things. The studios, this is one of the best public access studios I've ever been to. It's right up there with Manhattan Neighborhood Network in New York, which is
pretty solid.
Which is known now, and the programming on it is the.
They got the budget.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too
but,
far into that,
yeah.
I want to actually let people take a look at your show
Oh, sure, yeah.
and see what it's all about. So here is a little bit of the ASMR talk show. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay, ASMR talk show.
I still get carded every once in a while. I know that they have to do it, but when they ask me for my ID, it's like, oh, okay, I pretend to be really flattered and stuff. But I know that with each year that passes, that's going to happen less and less. And one day I will reach the point where I get carded for the last time, and then nobody would ever possibly believe I was under 21. So I was thinking that for that day, I need to get a fake ID that says that I'm under 21.
When I was younger, I was a hamburger man. I never ate chicken because I never really liked fried chicken. because especially KFC. KFC was delicious. You get a hot KFC in the early days, it's delicious, and it tastes so great. Then you eat the second piece, delicious, and by the third one you get heartburn. I don't know what it was, so I never really took a liking to chicken. And I grew up eating McDonald's. And McDonald's came to the town I was in, which is Wilmington, California, in 1961. Changed my life. I became a devoted hamburger guy.
I like colorful, eccentric characters, people from the fringes of society or the fringes of our own minds. I like outsiders, and I use the term freak with fondness.
Yeah.
So I hope anyone who I consider a freak takes it as a compliment.
Is a freak always an outsider, or is an outsider always a freak?
I think so. I think it's something about the unknown. You know, like you may be an outsider just in how you feel inside, even if the society around you sees you as a normal functioning person.
That's a real slippery slope, the Manson stuff, because the more you get like, well, actually, you know, he never killed anybody, you just look like a nut, and like nobody, like, there's no reason to like redeem Charlie Manson. He's a bad guy. What is that it factor in an animal that makes it historically significant?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna pick an argument with you.
Okay.
Okay, because you know, dogs get it not for being man's best friend, because dogs stole that from cats. You know, if you go back to the ancient world, it was all about cats. You know, think about ancient Egypt, and you know, it was all about cats. There was a point at which, and this goes off on a tangent, but it has a lot to do with the way we've treated gender and created a patriarchal society. Dogs are faithful, cats are capricious, cats are timid, cats are, you know, household creatures, blah, blah, blah. And so what really happened to cats was that they went from being our closest companion to kind of being shunted away, and just like a lot of the accomplishments of famous women throughout history.
And I see the snake guy, and he's like strutting around, and he looks at one of the street vendors who's out there selling hot dogs, and he's like, hey, have you seen the other snake guy today? And she was like, no. He's like, nice. The block is mine.
Like, they really think I'm Shelley Long trying comedy under another name. So they're like, we won't tell if you don't. Like, this one guy goes, we know how stars are.
Shelley Long would play up that she was
She'd be
Shelley
like,
Long.
I'm Shelley Long.
Everybody, oh yeah, I love Shelley Long.
She wouldn't be at Edgewater. She'd be Shelley Long doing.
And why would Shelley Long just decide to try comedy now, after all these years?
I don't know. She's working all the time, you know? I don't know. Maybe she wants to, though. People want to.
So that's the ASMR talk show. Very diverse group of people. It looks like you're enjoying the interviews. Do you have a favorite episode?
Okay, to be honest with you, I've done so many of these, it's hard to pick out specific memories or things that happen. Every once in a while something would go wrong, or there'd be something different or whatever. No, I don't have, just anybody who's fun to talk to. Was good.
At first I was gonna ask, what's your favorite episode? But I kind of figured that would be the answer. Especially when you've done as many as you have, and they'll have their own little quirks. They have their own little flavor.
If somebody's like, oh, you remember when such and such was on the show? I just like, oh yeah, I liked them. That's like, that's kind of the thing. You're like, kind of a cold fish.
Okay.
And you know.
So let's talk a little bit about your experience here, because you've been to quite a few access facilities, and there aren't a whole lot of us left. Like,
no.
We may be one of the last public ones in the immediate region that at least allows people from other areas.
Yeah, I think, you are the only one.
Wow.
Ventura did.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a road
It's
trip.
really far, yeah.
Yeah. What was the experience like when you came in here? Because you came in the door with hundreds of shows under your belt.
Yeah.
Possibly thousands?
For hundreds. Thousands is a lot.
Thousands is
Maybe
a lot.
someday. I just wanted to check it out just to see. I had been here before, actually. I think years ago you had showed me around, actually. We did the thing. And I was like, well, we got this other studio. And I want to take all the classes and stuff like that. But just coming in here and it's a lot more professional than some of the other ones. And you guys are like on top of things. And what I really like about this place, I'm impressed by. If something breaks or goes wrong or whatever, there'll be 3 answers. Oh, try this, try that, try that. Not just, yeah, I don't know. And then you just sit there or whatever. So I was really impressed by that. And you know, the classes and the volunteering and stuff, a little review for me, I'll be honest, but it weeds out the people who aren't serious, which is smart. I realized as I was going, is why you do it. And it does create a community because the same faces here all the time. And that's really like the thing. It's community TV. It's community. It's that community is what is cool about it.
So after having been through so many different facilities, would you say that having something like this is important? Because I think on the West Coast, it may not be as strong as like a New York, Manhattan neighborhood network or something like that.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the city and how good that community is, and then of course the station if they just turn everyone away. Because the Torrance one, they are real tyrants there. Tyrannical Torrance. That's what I'm going to call it. They were just not helpful at all. They did everything to stifle our creativity. And here I feel it's like the opposite. So I think it's really important because like where else can you go in and everyone's just like, yeah, sure, we can do that, no problem. Whatever you want to do, we'll help you do it.
Well, I mean,
within reason.
You can go anywhere to do that. Just better bring a budget with you.
Yeah. Well, for free to get access to the stuff.
Yeah, it's certainly we're very unique. I will say that. Maybe we should be more tyrannical. Tyrannical Pasadena. I don't know. I'm reaching. So what would you recommend to people who are interested if they have an idea or an inclination to do a show or something like that?
I can come down, volunteer on a show like this one, or just when you guys are open, come and meet the people and stuff. And then, you know, like, it's easy to do a public access show, but like, it's
still a little bit of work.
It's still a little bit of work. Yeah. So if you're not willing to do if you don't have that drive that like, all right, I have to just do the show no matter how stupid it is, then this probably isn't for you. But if you just want a little bit of training to get to that point, to realize, oh, maybe I should try something else, better here than wasting money on some classes at a community college or trying to make something yourself. And like you'll get a lot further faster with a place like Pasadena Media.
All right, appreciate it. Well, we are out of time for this segment. Thank you, Adam, very much.
Thank you, Chevelle.
Adam, I don't care. Or what was it? Is that I don't care? Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, whatever. And thank you for bringing your show here. It is actually one of the few things I have not seen in access here in Pasadena before, so I was pleasantly surprised by that. Stick around. We'll be back with more. We have another guest coming up right after this break.
My name is Greg, and I'm watching the Arroyo channel, and it's great.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spotting on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Thank you for watching the Arroyo channel, a public service of Pasadena Media. Pasadena Media is supported by the City of Pasadena and your generous donations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Veer Narula. I am an artist here in Old Town Pasadena, and you are watching the Arroyo channel.
Okay, so in the last few minutes we have here, we're going to talk to a member of the staff here at Pasadena Media. Please welcome Charles to the stage. Charles.
Howdy.
How are you?
Pretty good.
You're too tall. I don't like tall people. It's competition.
You keep saying that. We're pretty much the same height.
No, you're taller than me. Maybe it's the boots.
Yeah.
Okay. So who are you? Where are you from? What's your story, man?
Yeah, Charles Winters. Grew up locally here in not in Pasadena, in Monrovia. Hope one day to make Pasadena my home, I guess. Yeah, I went to school at PCC for journalism, and I actually kind of fell into your wife's production, Crown City News, and that's how I got involved. So started out doing camera work and editing for her, and it just slowly evolved into, you know, taking on more responsibility, taking bigger steps, and ended up directing the show, and then was offered a job here finally.
Wow. It's nice to be able to kind of fall into a job like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe it isn't, I don't know. Maybe something
No,
else.
truly, I mean, it really was. you know, I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for Pasadena Media. It's a really welcoming community, and it gives you a constructive task that you can work at and learn, and it's a practical skill for you to apply. You know, we're right next door to Hollywood, so a lot of people move on to there.
So you said you were at PCC for journalism. PCC is a great school for journalism, television, all of the above, and it's fairly low cost, so look into that.
Well, it's actually free to people that live in Pasadena now.
Yeah, isn't that?
Yeah.
What was that 20 years ago?
Would have been nice.
Would have been really nice. How do you think that and this paired together has helped? Like when you came into the door here, were you? I'm assuming you had training and whatnot. Were you prepared for the type of productions? Because my wife's production is pretty intense.
Yeah. It was a lot of learning by trial and error and learning hands-on. So you know, I think having a foundation in still photography, it did give me a good eye for composition and filling the frame properly. And then moving to video, it's just that next step. You're starting to work with more camera movement and stuff like that. So I really relish the opportunity that I was given at PCC too. We were some of the last people that were working with color film. You know, I developed my own color film. It ended up looking like the cover of an AC/DC album or something, but I got to do it, and it was really a lot of fun. And and then finally finding Crown City News, and you know, there's just a lot of really strong women there, your wife included. My mom hosted the show at the time, and then Sunita also hosted the show. And so got to kind of learn things from them and work with them. And then DeMario was the tech at the time.
Yeah.
And DeMario is just a force of nature.
Yeah.
The guy is just the hardest worker you could ever work with. And so he was a really awesome model to look up to and see his work ethic and how he works with lights and stuff like that. And so it's very...
So what are some of the things you think you learned that you may not have had when you were going to school? Like when you come in and you actually have to apply it. You talked about how you picked up some of the skills, the video side of it particularly.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it really has kind of been learning by trial and error. You know, I'm going to say a four-letter word here, but I'm a millennial. And so I learned a lot by just looking on YouTube. You know, I had that privilege of being able to just go on this miracle device on my phone and just look up, okay, you know, what kind of filters do I need, or what kind of things should be doing.
So let's talk a little bit about your tasks here. You've been working here now for the better part of 5 years, is it past?
It'll be 5 years in December.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, they have us doing everything, right? So you're a little bit more specialty, but for me, I'm out in the field. I'm doing a lot of the city council meetings, and that can be a little bit tedious, but it's actually one of my favorite things to do because I get to work with the robotic cameras, and it keeps moving the whole time, and you're constantly active.
And you kind of get your little ear to the ground. A lot of stuff that ends up in the paper the next couple of days, and you're kind of front and center for it.
Absolutely, yeah. You get to learn all about
It's like the world's
Pasadena.
slowest soap opera.
Yeah, that's the way I like to liken it to. It's like a really watered down drama.
Yeah.
So you get to know all the characters. You know, different city council members act a different way, and you know, when you see something on the agenda, you're like, oh, I wonder what somebody's going to say about that one. Like, it's going to be cool.
It can be interesting. It can be very interesting. And you also teach some of the classes. So you've gone from learning how to do the stuff to being the expert for a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite thing to teach?
Probably lighting, I would say.
That's a powerful one. I like lighting. But then coming from photography, that's also probably something that you kind of gravitate towards.
Yeah, to me, it's almost like painting. Like the the lights are actually your brush, and then your subject is your canvas. So, and then taking a look at it from a cinematic point of view, it's absolutely a character in your short film or your film. It's going to affect your viewers profoundly if you really pay attention to your lighting. So I like to try and tell people to be very mindful of that and think about what kind of color scheme or what kind of lighting scheme they want. Yeah.
How would you say that when you're teaching your classes, I know that a lot of people that come through the classes, our previous guests talked about how some of them get weeded out. What are some of the things you might try to do to perk up that interest?
Yeah, I mean, so we try and get as hands-on as possible. So we basically go through a bullet point list of some of the hot vocabulary words, I guess, you need to get. And then we get you right on hands-on with the equipment right away.
On shows like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got volunteers, we got first-timers here right now working this show. So I think that's the main thing that keeps people really engaged and keeps them coming back.
So would you recommend somebody do this? Like, you think it's a good idea for people to take time out of their busy lives to come down here and sit around in front of cameras and maybe learn how to do this?
Yeah. I mean, in the 21st century, I think to have good skills in media, it's valuable for everybody, and it's important for everybody to have a voice. And even if it's just, I mean, Facebook and Instagram kind of
take it where you can get it.
Yeah. So, but you're able to voice your opinion and be heard, and that's a lot of good has come from that.
Excellent. This is Charles Winters, production technician at Pasadena Media. That is actually it for the show. So as always, I hope you found this episode both informative and entertaining. I want to thank Adam for joining me on the show, and also you, Charles. Thank you very much. I'm going to shake a hand real quick. And for those of you who are interested in volunteering, you can get involved by looking for Pasadena Media through all of the usual social media platforms. And for those of you who want to do more than like, follow, and subscribe, head over to our pasadenamedia.org and sign up for our free classes. Whether you're interested in pushing the buttons or pushing your point of view, I hope to see you on the Arroyo channel.
Thank you.